students over here, this is an image based question. A lot of times the image itself would be able to give you the answer as to what they are trying to ask in the question. Or sometimes they may give a long paragraph and you will have to see what is there in the query. And based on that, you will have to correlate it to the image and you'll have to answer. At certain instances, you would probably just have to read what is there in the query, because in a lot of questions, what could happen is that, like for example, there are multiple lesions where you see giant cell lesions. Like giant cells are seen in multiple conditions. So you would have to probably read whatever is there in the question and then derive at an answer. So over here, this is a very straightforward question. It is identify the developmental defect. Based on the image that you're seeing, you can see that this is the mandibular arch and these are the primary incisors, whereas this is the these are the primary teeth, whereas this is the permanent molar. That is the permanent mandibular first molar. As you can see, first important thing that you are noticing is that it is discolored. Second is that the pits and fissures are not coals, because of which there is caries. So over here also you can see a huge carious lesion, and over here again there is some form of discoloration. The teeth over here that you are seeing are appearing to be normal and they do not have any other form of disease. So let's look at the options that we have over here. If it is Whether it is molar incisor hyperplasia, dental fluorosis, dentinogenesis imperfecta, or vitamin D deficiency. Let's try to eliminate the answers. If it would have been dental fluorosis, first of all, it would not be a generalized pattern. In dental fluorosis, it is usually presented on the buccal or the lingual surface, and you have uh, rows of pits that are coalesced together to form a particular band. So this, depending upon the age at which the fluorosis has occurred, it will appear different for different teeth, and that is at different levels. So for example, over here in the central incisor, suppose it is in the mid region. In the lateral incisor, probably it will be at the more closer to the cervical, whereas for the canine it will be right at the cervix. So we'll have to this is how you identify dental fluorosis. When it comes to dentinogenesis imperfecta, the teeth in dentinogenesis imperfecta will appear extremely brownish in color and they'll be very opaque. They will not be able to be translucent because there is so much dentine formation, and the dentine that is formed is so haphazard that the teeth over here will show uh, a very opaque structure. In vitamin D deficiency, both the enamel as well as the dentine, because vitamin D is useful for calcium absorption. So over here, both the enamel as well as the dentine are going to be hypocalcified. In such an instance, what would happen is the teeth would appear very red. They would not appear brown or black in color. They would appear red because there is pulp that would be visible. And in addition to that, the teeth are going to not be formed like this, in the sense that they would not have cusps and they would not have ridges. They would be flat in this, and they would be easily attenuated or abraded. So the only option that we are left over here with is molar incisor hyperplasia, hypomineralization, and that would be the answer over here. Okay, so it was derived in 2001 as 1 to 4 permanent first molars, although the incisors are also affected frequently. The altered enamel may be white, yellow, or brown, with a sharp demarcation between the defective and surrounding normal enamel. Also, MIH is a very important PGI question. They have asked this question at least thrice or 4 times in the exams. Yellow or brown opacities appear to be more porous and often are associated with post-eruptive enamel loss. With loss of enamel, the teeth become more sensitive, leading to avoidance of proper oral hygiene with rapid caries development. During attempts at dental therapy, this is why it is important. How it is important to us as dentists, number one. And second thing is, what are the problems that are encountered and how do we treat this problem? These teeth are often highly sensitive. Why are they sensitive? Because the dentine is exposed and the enamel is abraded, and are very difficult to anesthetize. There appears to be a spectrum of the disease in which only the molars may be affected or only the incisors also may be involved. The extent of incisor involvement appears to correlate with the number of affected molars. Affected incisors demonstrate only white opacities that primarily create aesthetic problems. These patients would come to you, and in such situations, you would probably have to give them either composite or ceramic veneers or laminates. In addition to that, there are 6 criteria for molar incisor hypermineralization. This was a PGI question, and after that, it was asked in AIMS as well as it was asked in NEET. So, the 6 criteria for molar incisor hypermineralization should be remembered by the student. One is post-eruptive enamel breakdown. Second is failure of eruption of teeth. Third is the teeth are unable to erupt. Fourth is there is atypical restorations. Fifth is there is demarcation between the restoration as well as the normal tooth structure indicative of a secondary caries lesion. So these 5 criteria to 6 criteria are supposed to be remembered by the student.